You might want to take this one with a grain of salt, Bengals fans, but the talk around Cincinnati is heating up, and it's about Duke Tobin. According to a report from Mike Florio, there's growing speculation that Tobin could be out as the Bengals GM, possibly within the next week. Now, before we go too far, remember, this isn't confirmed yet. I waited hours, scanning every major insider, Ian Rapoport, Adam Schefter, Diana Russini. Not a single one has backed up Florio's claims so far. That doesn't mean he's wrong. Florio knows football, and he's plugged in, but when something this big breaks, you'd expect multiple sources to jump in fast. So yeah, Bengals fans, it's okay to feel curious, just don't go ordering the celebration pizzas yet. Before listening to the latest news, subscribe to the channel, like it, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Let's move on to the new news. Now, as the story stands, reports suggest the Bengals front office is constantly evaluating everyone. Personally, I don't fully buy that. This organization doesn't usually move that quickly, we've seen that before. Still, the word around the locker room is that frustration is bubbling over. If this defense keeps sinking the way it has, and the same old problems keep resurfacing, it might finally force Cincinnati to make a major move. And if Duke Tobin's seat really is getting hot, things could get dramatic real soon inside Paycor Stadium. If heads really are going to roll in Cincinnati, the first one might belong to Duke Tobin. And honestly, that would be a massive shockwave across the Bengals organization. Florio mentioned it could happen by the bye week or sooner, and guess what? We're right in that window. Technically, this is the bye week. The team's regrouping, the practices slow down, and that's usually when tough conversations happen behind closed doors. But let's be real, firing Duke Tobin mid-season? That would be unlike anything we've seen from this franchise. The Bengals don't move that fast. If anything, they wait things out, sometimes way too long. And if this rumor means heads are going to roll, then maybe, just maybe, we're talking about more than Tobin. Could that pressure reach Zac Taylor? Could defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo or even Al Golden be on the chopping block? That's the kind of talk swirling around right now. Still, I'll believe it when I see it. We've heard this kind of smoke before, big changes are coming, so-and-so might get fired, and most of the time, the storm just blows over. That said, last offseason, Cincinnati did prove they're willing to step out of their comfort zone. For years, critics said the Bengals were too cheap to retain their stars. But they turned that narrative upside down. They took care of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and even rewarded Trey Hendrickson. That was rare, bold, and frankly, impressive. So, if ownership is really thinking about a front office shakeup now, it would be another massive sign that this isn't the same old Bengals. Maybe, just maybe, the organization is finally ready to start holding everyone accountable. Here's the thing, I spent nearly 5 hours digging through every possible source, trying to find any confirmation about this Duke Tobin rumor. But after all that searching, the only one talking about it is still Mike Florio. And that's what makes this situation so tricky. Florio's been right before, but sometimes his info comes straight from inside the organization. That means if he's hearing something like this, it could be coming from the front office itself. Maybe someone's testing the waters. Maybe someone inside wants this story out there. Every insider in this league has their own connections and their own slant. Florio usually reflects what he hears from teams. Ian Rapoport tends to side with the front office as well, the official voice, if you will. Adam Schefter, on the other hand, often echoes what players want the public to know. And then you've got reporters like Kelsey Conway, who often give us the player's perspective when there's frustration or tension behind the scenes. So, when you see Florio breaking a story like this about a potential firing, about major change in the Bengals organization, it's worth paying attention. It might not be confirmed yet, but leaks like this usually mean something's moving behind the curtain. And right now, in Cincinnati, that curtain looks like it's starting to shake. Yeah, it's Kelsey Conway. That's who I was thinking of. Anyway, here's what's important, every insider has their own source, and that shapes how they report things. So, when you see a story like this one pop up on Twitter or anywhere else, always ask yourself, who benefits from this being public? Because usually, that tells you everything. If a report comes from Mike Florio, chances are it's tied to the front office. And if the front office is leaking something about Duke Tobin possibly being on the chopping block, that's not random. That might actually be a message, maybe a warning shot, maybe even a bit of fan management. Think about it, if this news reaches fans, it can spark hope. It tells everyone, hey, the organization is listening. They are aware of the problems. Maybe they want to calm people down, make it look like real change is coming. Still, it's all speculation until something real happens. And knowing how this team operates, it's tough to tell if this is just smoke or the first sign of an actual fire inside the Bengals front office. Either way, this next week is going to be very telling. Here's where things get tricky. If Duke Tobin really is on his way out, the Bengals can't afford to rush this next move. They have to be smart, because hiring the wrong general manager could set this team back years. The front office needs someone strong, a GM who's not afraid to make bold calls, challenge the status quo, and reshape this roster for real success. Not just a placeholder. Not another yes man. Someone with vision, confidence, and football intelligence. And here's where it gets even more interesting, a new GM could completely reshape the coaching situation, too. If the next general manager comes in with a winning mindset, he might take one look at Zac Taylor's leadership and say, we need a different direction. That's the kind of move that could completely change the Bengals' culture, from top to bottom. For years, Cincinnati has been cautious, loyal to a fault, hesitant to shake things up. But maybe that's exactly what's been holding them back. If this front office truly wants to compete for a championship, they can't keep protecting the same people who built the problems. They need bold leadership, and if that means a full rebuild of the power structure, then so be it. Because the truth is simple, this franchise has the talent to win big. What they need now is someone at the top who's ready to demand it.